In this session, let us study the poem You Laughed and Loved, written by Gabriel Okara, a Nigerian poet. You see, we came to know the life and works of the poet Gabriel Okara in the previous session. In this session, let us study his poem You Laughed and You Loved. This poem appeared in African literary journal called Black Harpies, and it was published in the year 1959. This poem brings to light the issues pertaining to racism, colonialism, and post-colonialism. These three important aspects are discussed in this particular poem. The racism, which was practiced by the Europeans. They discriminated the blacks, undermined the blacks, ill-treated the blacks on the basis of racism. That is very well presented in this particular poem. And the process of colonization and the process of post-colonization are also discussed. How the Africans started the process called decolonization. And the effects of post-colonization are also presented in this poem. So in this poem, we come to know the life of the Africans, which was different from that of the Europeans. Africans have their own culture, which is totally different from the European culture. African culture is a natural culture, but the European culture is a materialistic culture. So, two cannot come together. We do not find any similarities between these two cultures. They are totally two different cultures. So these two cultures are very well presented in this poem. So Gabriel Okara contrasts the olden black indigenous culture of the Africa with the whites modern culture. As I told you, Africans had an indigenous culture, native culture, an old culture, which is purely based on nature. On the other hand, we have the European culture, which is purely based on the materialistic values. These two cultures are very well presented in this particular poem. So the poet in a light and arty way addresses the white listener. You see the title, You Laughed and Loved. Here, you refers to an European. He is the listener. And the speaker is an African or the poet who addresses the listener. And he in a light and arty way addresses the white listener. So the poet talks about the Europeans or the colonizers who laugh at the Africans, the natives. You see, in the beginning, the Europeans who colonized the Africans or African lands, they laughed at the Africans. So the poet depicts the life of the Africans who faced racism by the Europeans. The Europeans or the colonizers laughed at their song. They laughed at the African song because that looked like a misfiring and stopping of the car with a choking cough. So there is a simile. The poet uses a simile. The song of the native Africans looks like a misfiring and stopping up a car with a choking cough for the Europeans. They do not find it as a song. They find it as a harsh sound produced by a car when brake is applied. So they mocked the the Africans' native song. Even they mocked at their walk, as ante natal, and they called it inhuman walk. Even the Europeans laughed at their mad furious dance. They laughed at the or ridiculed the dance of the Africans. They called it a mad furious dance. The Africans enjoyed dancing with the beat of the drums. But European colonizers could not enjoy the dance, they could not enjoy the song. They closed their eyes and they closed both their eyes and ears, symbolizing they cannot enjoy it. They cannot tolerate their song and dance. So the Europeans belittled or ridiculed the primitive way of African life. So it is very clear that Europeans or the colonizers laughed or ridiculed the African culture, African way of life, their own traditional dance to the beats of the drums. So the poet very clearly tells us in this particular poem that colonizers or the Europeans failed to understand the native culture, native dance, native emotions. So the colonizers failed to understand the pain the Africans underwent. They failed to understand the emotions, feelings expressed by the natives in their songs, sung in their own native language, Ijo language. So the Europeans do not know the native languages of the Africans. So quite naturally they fail to understand the things or emotions expressed in those songs. Even they failed to understand the extraordinary power the Africans had in their clumsy figure and walk. The Africans looked like clumsy figures for the Europeans. And even their walk was the stance, and their walk was also ridiculed by the Europeans. They find fault with the Africans' way of dancing, way of singing, way of walking. Even they find fault with their color, find fault with their figure. They disapprove everything that belongs to the Africans. Even they fail to understand the drum beating of the Africans, dance of the Africans. The drum beating was their traditional and cultural ritual which made the Africans dance, the magic dance. Their dance is not an ordinary dance, it is a magic dance. It is very mysterious, very, very attractive. It draws the attention of so many people. It is magical, catchy, but the Europeans failed to understand the magic dance of the Africans. They failed to understand the cultural ritual and the traditional values of the natives. These dances, these songs clearly brought out the inner feelings of the Africans. But these Europeans failed to understand these emotions expressed in the form of dance and song. Even the Europeans failed to understand the mystic inside of the Africans. So the poet uses a simile here to present the mystic inside of the Africans. The Africans opened their mystic inside wide like the sky, just they laughed in car. The Africans opened their mystic inside. Mystic inside is an Africanness that is there in their life, that is there in their song, that is there in their dance, that is there in their way of life. Their mystic inside is not narrow, it is as wide as the sky. But these Europeans who are following the materialistic culture and materialistic life are not able to understand the mystic inside of the Africans. But they fail to understand their mystic inside. They totally reject the African culture, way of life, and their inside. But they simply laughed at their culture, laughed at their life, laughed at their figure. They got into their car instead of watching the dance and listening to the songs. They closed their eyes and ears, got into their car. Car is a symbol of materialistic life. They are after a materialistic life, not after the African natural life. So, the poet very clearly tells us that the European colonizers failed to understand the native culture, native life of the Africans. Their life is very, very mysterious. They have their own mystic inside. It is as vast as the sky. But it was not understood by the Europeans. So the poet retaliates, counters, attacks the Europeans for their superiority complex against the Africans. So, in this particular poem, the poet or the narrator launches a blistering attack on the white people or the Europeans. He tells them, now he is turned to laugh. You Europeans laughed at us, ridiculed us a lot, humiliated us a lot when you colonized us, when you ruled us. But now it is our turn to laugh at you. It is our turn to laugh at your ignorance. So he attacks or retaliates the European colonizers. The colonizers' laugh is just like ice block. He says, there is no life in your laugh. Your laugh is ice block. Your laugh reaches your inside, your voices, your ears, your eyes, your tongue. So the colonizers have no strength or vigor in their inside, no vigor in their laugh. They are just like ice blocks. They are very, very cold. Their voices are cold, their inside is cold, the ears are cold, eyes are cold, even tongue is also cold. They do not have any warmness in them. They are almost dead. It means to say that they have no passion, they have no strength, and they are considered to be almost dead. When they do not have the passion that is required for the human beings, they are dead, living dead people. They function without any odor. They are almost like dead than alive. Even though they are alive, they seems to be dead for the Africans. That way, the poet or the narrator retaliates the Europeans. So these black people have a fiery passion. They have a very, very strong passion in their life, in their body, in their feelings and emotions. So the poet or the speaker defends his own cultural nationalism, cultural African nationalism. Europeans undermined the African nation, African culture, the African people. But this poet defends his own cultural nationalism. He contrasts his own natural laughter with the artificiality of the mocking colonialist. the colonial rulers or the colonizers, Europeans, mocked at the Africans. They mocked at the natural laughter of the Africans. But the Europeans' laugh is artificial. There is no naturalness in their laugh. Even then, they laugh at the Africans. His laugh is unlike the Trojan laugh of the white people. That is why the speaker very clearly tells the Europeans. He tells them that their laugh is like Trojan laugh, cold laugh. But the laugh of the Africans is not as cold as the whites. It is warm. And the African life or the African's love does not require any cause. Car is a symbol of artificiality. Their life is full of natural elements. They live in the lap of nature. They enjoy natural elements. They live amidst natural elements. But the Europeans live amidst materialistic things. Their life is full of materialistic values. That is why the poet says, or the speaker in this particular poem says, you see, the laugh of the Africans is the fire of the eye of the sun. There is fire in the laugh of the Africans. Fire is a symbol of energy, strength. That fire is from the eye of the sun. We know sun is a star which gives us light and energy. It is very, very powerful, very, very strong. Similarly, the laugh of the Africans is as strong as the sun. There is fire of the sun in their laugh. There is the fire of the earth in their laugh. Fire of the air, fire of the seas, fire of the rivers, fire of the fishes, fire of the animals, fire of the trees and any other natural element. So the laugh of the Africans is full of fire. Full of fire of the natural elements that are available on this earth. But the laugh of the Africans is cold. It is almost dead. There is no passion. There is no vigor. There is no vibration in their laugh. So these Africans derive their energy and passion from the natural elements like the sun, the earth, the air, seas, rivers, fishes, animals, trees, etc. etc. So these Africans are in touch with natural elements. And the unremitting labor has kept their passion alive. They keep on working. They are made slaves by the Europeans. They keep on working. That work has kept their passion alive. On the other hand, Europeans are dependent on the missionaries. They do not labor. They are the lazy people. So they have lost their passion to work, passion for life. So the poet retaliates. You see, our passion is much stronger than that of yours. Your passion is almost cold. There is no life, no vigor, no fire in your life. But our life is full of fire. So we are in no way inferior to your life. Our life is in no way inferior to that of yours. We are superior to you in all the ways. In our passions, in our emotions, in our strength, in our vigor and everything. So the Europeans later were surprised. They wanted to know the secret of the Africans' passion, strength, vigor. Africans are very, very strong. They enjoy their life. They have the natural strength in them. The whites wonder at the merriment of the black people. This fire of merriment melted the eyes, ear, and heart of the white people. The white people started understanding the passion in the life of the Africans. Their ears, eyes, and heart had fallen deaf when they colonized the Africans. But they opened their eyes, opened their ears and hearts for the African merriment or happiness. They opened their eyes and ears and saw the passion of the Africans in their life, and they wanted to know the secret behind this passion. So the whites were very much excited to know the key to their passion. The speaker, when questioned by the Europeans, answered the secret of their passion. He says the black are strong because they are owned by the living warmth of the earth. He says black people are the Africans are very very strong because they are owned by the living warmth of the earth. They get warmness from the earth and all the natural elements that are there on this earth. They walk on their naked feet. They do not wear any shoes or slippers like the Europeans. They are in direct contact with the nature or earth. So they get the warmth of the earth, strength of the earth, and all other natural elements that are there in nature. So that is why they are very very strong. They have a very good passion in them. They have contact with the natural elements like the sun, sea, air, fire, unlike the whites who run in their cars, who live in their cars, who follow the materialistic culture in their life. Besides, these Africans, they walk around. These Africans walk around barefooted, unlike the whites who depend on the cars or machinery, and have absorbed into their system all the warmth of the earth. Since the Africans live very close to the earth, natural elements, they lead their life in the lap of nature, amidst nature, all natural elements. They absorb everything that is there in earth. They get the warmth of the earth. So their life is full of passion, unlike the cold life of the Europeans. It means to say that they have a physical strength, physical passion. The physical work keeps the Africans vital and vibrant. It is the physical work, contact with the nature, walk on their barefoot, has kept them vital, energetic, and vibrant. So, in this particular poem, the poet transcends the acceptance of the derision of the whites and presents a wiser African intellect. Transforms Europeans presented their Eurocentric view that they are the superior people on this earth. They are superior to the Africans. They were there to civilize and educate the Africans. So, in this particular poem, the poet transforms this view and makes the white people understand that even the Africans are wiser, they are also intelligent like the Europeans. They are in no way inferior to the Europeans. That is what he tells in this particular poem. He presents the African intellect, African strength, African vigor and their vibrations. So the poem concludes with the African teaching the whites. When the Europeans colonized Africa, they started teaching the Africans. They started making the African people realize that their culture is inferior to the European culture. So they imposed their own culture, their own languages, their own religion, and so many other cultural aspects on the black people. But after African countries got independence from the colonizers, the Europeans, they started teaching the Europeans or the whites about their own ignorance, and they started helping the Europeans to understand or realize that the native beliefs of the Africans are not as primitive as the Europeans thought once upon a time. The European culture is not far removed from the intellectual thought. They are also intellectuals, but the Europeans fail to understand the intellectual life, intellectual culture, rich culture of the Africans. So the Africans started teaching the Europeans. They made them realize their own ignorance about the African culture. So there is uh, the poem confronts the whites' mockery of the indigenous African culture and the worldview, and ultimately silences them by the native fire laughter. So the poem confronts the whites' mockery, whites' ridicule of the Africans and their culture, and even it ridicules the worldview of the Europeans. And ultimately, the Africans silence the Europeans with their native fire of laughter. There is fire in their laughter. They started laughing at the European culture, European understanding, European intelligence, and their ignorance. The speaker stands tall against the foolishness of the colonialist who laughs at his dance and is inside clinging to the material objects like ours, affected European manners, ice block laughter, and other European models. So, in this particular poem, the speaker or the poet stands very tall against the foolishness of the colonialists or the Europeans. They laughed at the Africans, their way of life, their culture, their dance, their song, foolishly. They fail to understand the inside or the mystic inside of the African culture. Because the Europeans were very much attached to the materialistic objects like the cars and other things. So they were very much affected by the European manners, European culture, European lifestyle. So their life was ice block laughter. They are after modernity. So they fail to understand the native African culture. So the poet brings out the foolishness of the Europeans in this regard. So in this poem, so far we learnt that this poem is a satiric dramatic monologue. You know, monologue is one person speaking, and the presence of the another person who is a listener is felt. He does not speak, he goes on listening. So, in this particular poem, the speaker, who is an African or the poet, addresses the European colonizer who colonized and undermined the Africans. Now he satirizes the Europeans for their ignorance, for their superiority complex. So the whites laughed at their songs, dance, music, which brought out their inner emotions and feelings. In the beginning, the European colonizers laughed at the Africans' song, Africans' dance, Africans' music. Through these dances, through these songs, through their music, the Africans expressed or brought out their own inner emotions and feelings. They brought out their mystic inside. But the Africans The Europeans failed to understand this mystic inside of the Africans. At the end of the poem, the blacks made an attack on the whites as Projan. They call the Europeans as Projan people. They are the living dead people. They are almost dead because their life has no vigor. There is no passion in their life. So Okara, the poet, beats the beats of Africa in this poem. He beats the drums of Africa, the musical beats and of dance. He beats these drums once again and makes the Europeans or the colonizers understand that African culture is not a primitive one, as the Europeans thought in the beginning. It is rich, it is full of fashion, and it is in no way inferior to the European culture. That way, in this poem, the poet contrasts the two cultures and counterattacks the Europeans in a mild way. So there is a retaliation and presents the contrast between these two cultures. One is a Trojan culture of the Europeans, which is almost dead, and the fire of the African culture, which is vigorous, which is full of energy, which has fire in it, fire of all the natural elements in it. Let me stop it here. Thank you for listening.